review of episode 1, season 4 of Insecure. So let me just start off by saying I've actually watched the entire series up until this point. I think I might need to refresh my memory though and rewatch season 3 just moving forward. I feel like that's what you're supposed to do when you get a set date for when a show returns. You need to go rewatch the previous season before you start the new one, just so that you're up to date on everything. The episode starts out with a flashback to, it starts forward and then it moves back in time. It's like set up to be like a TV show. And I guess they're trying to look for Issa, and it cuts to Issa being on the couch, and when she speaks to the person on the TV, I guess, she's like, me and Molly are no longer friends. Or, excuse me, I don't fuck with that bitch. That's what she said. Then it flashes back 4 months. So, I don't know if anyone else has seen the series already, but in season 4, for the finale, Issa planned this big block party in LA, and a whole bunch of stuff was left as a cliffhanger for them to come back. So I think, if I remember correctly, the block party was a success, but there was some other crap that happened, because of course, drama. So it flashes, basically this whole episode is that 4 months leading up until the block party. So, as you know, Issa makes bad decisions. But that's the point of the show. It's Insecure. She's still getting her footing. They're just turning 30. She's single now. She's just trying to figure out who she is. And I think out of her friends group, she's got the hardest to work, I think, perhaps, because she's the poorest with the least access out of her group of friends. Like, Molly's a lawyer. Tiffany is wealthy, I think, and she's married already, and I think her husband is successful. I'm not sure what Kelly does, but I think Kelly also has a really good paying job. So really, Issa's been the only one that's been steadily trying to adjust. She went through this rough relationship for 5 years where she fell out of love, she cheated on her ex, and now she's just trying to grow into her womanhood to be able to, get back on her feet and figure out what her independence looks like. So the main question that popped into my head, and I completely forgot that she even did this, was it flashed back to the scene where Molly had told Nathan to go away when he came to talk to Issa. And I think that was a very important boundary that Molly stepped over, because even though she claims that she did it out of kindness because she didn't want her to see her friend get hurt, I also felt like it was from a place of selfishness. Because Molly's not getting that kind of attention that Issa is. And I think even if Issa decided she wanted to make things work with Nathan or break it off, she deserved that chance and that closure. And she saw how stressed out and in a horrible spot her friend was trying to figure out what happened to Nathan. So I feel like she closed the door and she took away that option for Issa, which wasn't fair. The second thing that came to mind is when they're showing their friends group and how Kelly was being treated by Tiffany during her baby shower, and just thinking back on how Molly and Issa go back and forth in general. I don't really think they're a good group of friends. I never have, to be honest, throughout the entire series. I've always kind of thought Issa was a bit clueless with good intentions, but she can be kind of ignorant to the stuff around her, while Molly just seems like a really selfish person. And even though she says she's trying to grow and she's going to therapy, I don't know, I feel like when certain situations arise, when those are moments to test her as a character and to see what her growth is, she digs her heels and acts more like a child than the previous time. I think Tiffany's not a very good friend. She bags on them all the time and makes comments about how they're not as wealthy as her or attractive. And I'm just kind of well, why are y'all friends with her? And Kelly's she's a caricature, I think, kind of being the fat black girl, and they don't really flesh out her personality, which I think Kelly's naturally funny and charismatic. I just wish that they would give more to her backstory. I think they tried to when they had the whole episode where her and Tiffany were beefing about the baby shower, but I feel like it was kind of empty because we didn't know enough about their backstories as people for us to really care. It just seemed like it was another episode of Tiffany being mean and Kelly was genuinely hurt this time. And I think they're kind of like individual like pairs of friends. Like Kelly, like excuse me, Issa and Molly are a set of friends, and Kelly and Tiffany are a set of friends, and then they just hang out as a foursome. Because if I remember correctly, in season 1, when the first time they all hung out, everyone was definitely clowning Issa. If I remember that correctly. So I've always kind of been curious about their whole friendship. So the next thing that comes up is Andrew, which is the guy that Molly is seeing, and they've been going on dates, and she's been having a really good time. He seems like a pretty cool dude. She later on brings up like jokingly in the car about him having a date on Friday. Andrew says, "Oh, why is that funny?" And it comes out that Andrew is in fact seeing other women. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with Andrew seeing other women, but I do think that's probably something they should have established early on before they spent so much time together, especially with how they met, because Andrew knew that she was kind of a wreck over another guy that she knew. So I thought that was kind of like touchy. He should have been like clear about that, especially when he kept like urging her, trying to like convince her to go out with him, only for her to like tell her that he was seeing other girls. I could see how that could be confusing as the person in that receiving that information. But I also think that Molly needs to learn from past experiences that she shouldn't be trying to jump into a relationship every single time just because she likes a guy. Like, possibly, like, her being clingy is what keeps getting her into trouble. And if she would just accept, you know, dating other guys instead of her shutting down, because I get it, she likes Andrew. If she had to just taken into consideration, maybe I should be dating more than one guy and date around. I don't have to commit to anyone. Maybe I just like a guy that I want to watch movies with, and then another guy we just we like go to the sports bar, and another guy that we talk about, I don't know, journalism, and another guy that, you know, different people that she could relate to, because it would take that stress off, but also remind herself like relationships aren't everything. I feel like she still hasn't fully grasped that concept, especially after finding out about her dad cheating on her mom. She still has this very idyllic way that love and her life should be, which I think is in turn causing her to shoot herself in the foot. And it makes her look very nasty and very selfish, which causes her to like treat her friends badly, and it's usually Issa, but I'll come back to that later. Also, I hated that line when they were shopping about how she said that Andrew had jungle fever. That was really gross. It was unnecessary and made her look extra insecure. Like, I know that the gag is like, oh, Andrew's interested in her because he's Asian, but I feel like that also should be an indicator to be like, other men are interested in you regardless of what their ethnicity is. So just enjoy that. Enjoy being youthful and successful and attractive, and just go out and have fun. And the rest of it, when it's time, you'll know what to do, rather than putting all this pressure on yourself and the men that you're seeing. I hope that makes sense. So next section, is you meet Condola. Condola is the girl that apparently she was in the last season, and she was one of the women that attended the baby shower for Tiffany. Issa has been planning this block party. Condola is the main component to helping her get this together, because I guess her and Tiffany have a history of planning events and them being successful, and she's well connected in the same way that Tiffany is, so they met up and they're working on this project. They're bonding, their friendship is building, and everything seems great. She's been telling Issa about this really great guy that she's seeing and how she's so excited because things are moving so great. Issa's been very supportive, and Tiffany comes in while they're having a conversation. They mention a date, and you find out that this guy is a guy she met at the baby shower, which was not known to Issa prior, which Issa then points out there weren't very many men at this baby shower, so who could you possibly be talking about, right? Because we know who Lawrence's friends are, and most of them are friends with Issa, so a lot of them are married at this point, so there's only so many guys she could be referring to. Come to find out that this guy is indeed Lawrence. Tiffany tries to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal, like, oh, this guy that you went on one date with that was not supposed to lead into anything, which to me was already shifty, because if that was the case, you should have passed that information on. And even if she didn't go back to tell Issa immediately, to be like, hey, just to let you know, this girl you're chilling with, who's also my friend, is seeing Lawrence, like, I don't want you to be upset. I think that was a good time to tell Condola that, so that she didn't walk in and it looked suspicious on her part, you know? Because had Issa not been trying to be a bigger person or just mature about the overall situation, that could have gotten ugly very quickly and made Condola look very bad, which I genuinely don't think that she is doing out of spite. They have nothing to be, like, ashamed of. I think she really does enjoy her friendship that's growing with Issa, and I think she really is enjoying this relationship that she's growing in with Lawrence. It's just unfortunate. And honestly, I think it's just because they haven't been broken up for long enough. I think it still feels fresh. I think that as they try to navigate around, like, seeing other people, they keep bumping into each other, because Issa's had a string of hookups, whereas this is Lawrence's second relationship. Because he made an ass of himself at that party, yelling at Issa, which I did not like. I thought he was very disrespectful to her. And I guess maybe that girl broke it off with her at that time, so now he's seeking someone else. I don't know if it's a rebound thing, and he might sincerely like Condola. I don't know, but I just don't want to see Lawrence anymore, to be honest with you. I feel like they're broken up. They've said that they're good, everything's okay. But then again, I believe Issa said in an interview, that's kind of how life is sometimes, with there's relationships that you feel like you're done with, the universe doesn't feel like you're done with. So that could be a point they're trying to make, to be like, we don't want to see Lance. I don't want to see Lance. Issa doesn't want to see Lance, but that's not how life is. Sometimes it's just really that uncomfortable. But I must say, I think Issa handled it very well. I think she was awkward, but that's Issa. But I think she had an option, and I think she took the more mature route of taking time to think it over and really realize, you know, I can't make an ass of myself because I'm not dating this man anymore. I said that I was okay with it. I gotta let it go. And I have this block party event that I really want to be successful. Am I gonna throw in the towel, risk ruining this friendship and this partnership that I have just because I'm mad about my ex? No, you could tell she was uncomfortable, which is normal. I think if it was reversed and it was something happening to Lawrence, I think he would have been uncomfortable too. I think it's normal. 5 years is a very long time, which they pointed out when they were talking to one another. But I think she handled it well, even when they went on to have the mixer, because that's what they planned before the block party to get sponsorships. They were awkward, but I think Issa was coming from a sincere place. She was trying to make Condola uncomfortable. Condola. I'm gonna keep messing that up. I think she was trying her hardest to make sure that she was comfortable, because she understood there was a lot on the line. And, you know, that's part of being an adult, is picking and choosing your battles. And even if they have a conversation about it down the road, where they have a one-on-one and explain to her each other why this is awkward for her and whether she approves or disapproves, I thought in that moment she did well. I thought it was weird that she made them split up. Condola told them to split up, but at the same time, I understood the logic. And I thought Tiffany was kind of being a jerk about it, to act like, oh, you're being weird. I thought you guys were cool. Like, that hurts. That hurts. You're seeing your ex with someone else. You're trying to make an identity outside of this person that you've been with for 5 years, and everywhere you look up, that person is there again. I would be frustrated too. I completely understand that. Which just brings me to my next point of, like, I don't like Tiffany's character. I know she's supposed to be, like, the textbook, light-skinned, very wealthy, bougie black girl, but she's very shallow and very irritating. Her husband is irritating. I don't think she adds anything, and I feel like she's what you would define as a frenemy. Again, which is why I see them more of like two sets of pairs rather than a foursome group of friends, because she's just very nice nasty. She's very much a person where it'd be like, ugh, I don't want to hang with that person because I never feel like I have enough. Like, even with the little shady comments about how Issa was dressed and how she didn't dress herself, and Condola dressed her and bought her clothes because Issa doesn't have a fashion sense, or just, you know, little shady stuff about the location and whatnot, and it's just like, ew, that's unacceptable. I think honestly that was the reason why it was so weird. I think had they dated less time, I think it wouldn't have been so weird, but it's only been 5 years, and I think they've been apart, what, a year? Is this supposed to be a year or two time? And they still have like a lot of raw emotion, because every other encounter that they have, it's still a very emotional experience for the two of them. Even when they're trying to act like the other person doesn't exist, they still had a lot of history together. So that brings me to my last point about their conversation after the block party's over. So Molly tells Issa during the block party about the conversation that she had in the car with Andrew. Molly is immediately standoffish and weird towards Andrew, which he could clearly read that her body language was different. She was being very short with him, and she pushed him away. And, you know, he still tried. And, it led to a conversation of, like, during the block party, she found out that, you know, the whole situation about Issa and Condola and Lawrence. And I could see, like, her being, for a moment, being like, oh, I wanted to talk to her, and she needed Issa, but I also felt like Molly was being selfish because she knew how much this block party meant to Issa, and I felt like that was the moment to again show emotional growth, to bite her tongue and be supportive of her friend. And if she honestly couldn't do that, I think she should have just left or kept quiet. But she wasn't. I don't even know if she really spoke to people to get sponsors. She kind of just spent the whole night being, like, passive-aggressive towards Andrew. And I thought that was weird when Issa asked her what was happening. And she tried to update her and ask her about the whole Andrew thing. And, you know, she was trying to, you know, somewhat honest. And Issa pointed out that she liked him. And I thought, you know, that was a good point. If you like him, you should tell him, you should confront that, but don't pretend that nothing's wrong, because it's not healthy. And that's what she did. She lied. She basically lied, knowing that it was bothering her. She lied to her best friend, and she's lying to herself. And I thought it was really nasty of her to turn around and tell Issa that she chooses the times to be messy, and just saying, and tries to follow it up with being, I'm just being real, and I'm just trying to make you hold yourself accountable. And it's just like, excuse you, Molly, because you could stand to take a dose of your own medicine, because those are qualities that you lack. I think in Issa's case, she didn't have a choice. What was she supposed to do? Cuss her out and say that she didn't want to work with her, and then ruin her whole own event, and ruin her possibility of doing more events in the future? She's just finding her footing about that's what she wants to do, is be a part of her community and do these nonprofit things and raise money and bring awareness to the people in her community that's being gentrified. And I thought it was just really gross of her. She did text Andrew saying the truth. We don't know what Andrew said. We won't know until next week. But I felt like that was the time to be honest with Andrew, whether it was at the party or not. I don't know. I'm a girl sometimes who needs to let things cook. Sometimes I need to just think on it so I can find the words about how I feel and make sure I'm choosing them wisely. But I think she should have confronted that instead of letting that out on Issa. I don't know. It was kind of like a kick at her when she was down moment. Like, nobody wants to find out this new friend that they've made that they're also in partnership is dating their ex. That's not something you look for. And she didn't even think about the aspect of being like, Issa being bummed because she really thinks this girl is cool, but also uncomfortable because she doesn't want to hear her gushing about Lawrence. And then also sadness of being like, maybe she's bothered the fact that she's not in a relationship herself. but she's made, like, she's become a super. She's trying to make sure that her neighbors don't sabotage this party. She's trying to be honest with her sponsors and gain them, which she did. She got 30. She started with 20, ended up with 30 sponsors by the end of the night. And I don't know. I just don't ever feel like Molly gives Issa her dues. It just being like, I'm proud of you, best friend. Like, you really did the best that you could with what you had. And I thought that you did a great job. I think somehow she always makes it backhanded and makes it about herself. I don't know if that interaction, because you could tell they were off-put because she tried to make conversation with her and Issa just kind of was just like, she was hurt. She didn't want to speak anymore. She was just kind of like, wow, damn, like, my friend really came at me. I don't know if there's more. Does that mean that Molly's done more shady shit that has caused their friendship to deteriorate? Because she seems like she's on a roll. Is it fixable? Because I think sometimes with friendships, especially when we say, oh, that's my best friend, we've been through this together, I've known this person for such and such time, they've seen me through all these things, but knowing when to be like, you know what, this isn't working, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, I don't want to be friends with this person that you are right here in this moment. And just saying, like, if you're really committed to the journey of yourself growing and trying to better yourself, that sometimes people have to be left behind. And I feel like that might be the case with Molly, of being like, I think Molly made partner. She works for a new law firm. It's black. And she's had to been checked, like, numerous times about just being this overbearing person. And I feel like it was already, like, a judgment to her from her on Issa about Issa's lifestyle, about Issa, who she dates, about where she lives, how she dresses. And it's just like, damn, can y'all get y'all foot off my neck, like, just for a moment? And I think there's been numerous, like, moments out of this series that she's been completely selfish and just made Issa put everything down for her. So I'm curious, because this is the last season, so how are they gonna end it? I'm putting faith in the writers because they took extra time off. And overall, it's always a good series. It's probably going to leave me angry. Either way, I'm going to have a strong emotion about it. I'm curious now to see what's going to happen for episode 2. Where do we go from here? Because she's about to mess things up with Andrew. Which brings me to, my last and final point. Like, she said that Issa makes her own life messy. But I felt like that sentence, she was speaking about herself. Because Issa pointed out, like, you think things are over with Andrew, but you're having fun. And I feel like out of all the men that they've shown Molly dating, Andrew seems to be the person that she genuinely just enjoys being with, and she's the most herself with, you know? There was no expectations of them coming out of this with a relationship or a marriage or any of that. She's just let her guard down, and she's herself, and he's attracted to her. So why not just have fun with that? And I get it, because she's worried possibly if he likes someone else that he'll pull the rug from underneath her and it'll be over. But I feel like you just got to focus on the joy that's in that moment, and then having that conversation of being honest with him and going forth from there, not just kind of throwing a tantrum. But anyway, this video's gone on for too long. That will be the end. I look forward to the next episode. Thank you so much for watching my review / analysis, I guess. And let me know what you think. What did you think about Molly and Issa's conversation? How do you think Molly handled it? Do you think Issa was in the wrong? Do you think Molly was in the wrong? Do you think neither of them in the wrong? Are you bothered by Andrew? Are we going to see Nathan again? How do you feel Lawrence plays into this? I would love to know what you think. Yeah, and I look forward to reading your comments. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.